In a recent press conference, Alan Savage, the preferred bidder and likely new owner of Inverness Caledonian Thistle, raised a few eyebrows by casually floating the idea of ICT upping sticks and moving to the new UHI campus. Taking many by surprise with his timing, you'd imagine a club in administration talking about a new stadium being pretty wishful thinking. However, it's probably the Caley Jags' most likely route to sustainability. We're going to look at the most likely locations and the outcome of a new ICT ground, and because this is YouTube, we're going to rank them by likelihood. But first, the Caledonian Stadium, situated in the Longman area of the Highland capital near the banks of the Murray Firth, has been the club's home since being built in 1996. Fast approaching a deadline in order to meet the criteria of joining the Scottish Football League, the stadium was built in less than a year at the very scenic Keswick Bridge A9 crossover. Holding roughly 5,000 fans and costing a solid £5.2 million with a 99-year lease, the club's future looked to be set in concrete. And achieving promotion to the top flight of the Scottish Premier League in 2004, everything seemed to be coming up gold for the Caley Jags. Until, in typical Scottish football fashion, they were punished for success by the bureaucrats. You see, the SPFL had changed eligibility rules for the league, which required clubs to have a 10,000-seater stadium. Minimum. A monumentally dumbass move for a league where only 5 teams had an average attendance that hit 5 figures. Absolute piss take. At that time, ICT had a capacity of 6,280. Of which roughly a third was seating. So what to do? Turn down promotion despite having fairly earned the opportunity? Not on your life. A deal was struck with rivals Aberdeen to ground share Pittodrie. While not ideal to be sharing with your competition, what was even worse is the fact that Aberdeen is well over 100 miles away. And I'm sure the majority of you watching this video are very well aware of the absolute shit show that is the A96. I mean, you'd be happy if you made that journey in less than 2.5 hours. And that's just one way. Thankfully, in a moment of clarity, the SPFL once again changed the rules, reducing the ridiculous regulation of 10,000 seats to only 6,000. Phenomenal. ICT can now play their inaugural season in the SPFL at their actual stadium within their actual city limits. Kind of. The club was required to expand the ground, and rapidly. The chairman at the time was one David Sutherland, who, funnily enough, was also the chairman of Pullet Construction, a massive local building company in the north of Scotland. Absolutely phenomenal coincidence there. In an incredible 47 days, they expanded the ground to meet SPFL demand, building 2 new stands at either end of the ground. The Caledonian Stadium has looked and felt much and such the same ever since. So why would a club that expanded their ground only 20 years ago be looking to move? It's not for the aesthetics. In a world where unique old football stadiums with quirky features are more rapidly being replaced by futuristic and downright absurd pieces of AI-looking inkjet printers, the Caley Jags' reasons for this need, at the end of the day, just came down to money. Besides the occasional game against a member of the old firm or a massive cup game, the idea that the club, where it currently lies, needs a stadium with a capacity of 7,512 is quite frankly mental at this moment in time. And from what I'm hearing through the local press, it's costing a fair scalp to heat as well. If you were only to look at the ground via drone footage, you'd chain yourself to the gates to stop the bulldozers knocking it down. But in reality, when it's December and you're getting humped by Cove Rangers, it's 2 degrees, and that sea breeze is breaching your Napajeri jacket, chilling your soul. It can be hard to love in those situations. Couple that with distance, not just from the city centre to the ground, but also the stands to the pitch. While incredible memories have been made at the club's home of nearly 30 years, Alan Savage's soon-to-be purchase of the club does appear to make a move quite likely. Now, let's look at some locations where Inverness Caledonian Thistle could call home. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. Located on the outskirts of Inverness, this area has some available space and is served by existing roads that are a close proximity to the A96. However, it is very unlikely for a club that struggles with fluctuating attendances to move so far out of the city and truly kill off the ability to walk to the ground. It's not uncommon in modern day football to see teams sell their land in the city at top dollar and move to the suburbs, Atletico Madrid for example. Or flat out, they could just leave the area and the people they represent for somewhere shiny. Hello West Ham United. While incredibly unlikely, a relocation to Culloden or Balloch is still more plausible with the land available than heading to Fife. Head down the B862 and this area opens up really quickly, offering open land and scenic views towards Loch Ness. Possibility of going in and around the big Tesco or even just slightly further down the road towards Nestcastle Primary School is quite plausible. However, it's further from the city centre. Despite how nice of a spring walk down by the River Ness is, you'd hate yourself for attempting it. So a reliance on local transport and infrastructure development would be necessary to support a stadium in this area. The largest park in the city, on the western bank of the River Ness. The stadium, situated here, has been used by the Inverness Shinty Club since 1920 and has been going through a multi-million pound restoration and upgrades. Now housing a pavilion and Shinty museum, it could be an amazing opportunity to bring two of the biggest sports in the city together. Currently accommodating about 5,000 people and owned by the Highland Council. I doubt it would be easy, but it's not impossible. The Caley Jags could repurpose the ground to be both an incredible shinty and football venue. I mean, the ground has been the home to football in the past, with Inverness City FC. While a pipe dream, the Buck Park location would be incredible for fans both home and away. Barely 10 minutes walk from the city centre, plenty of street food vendors, and a very scenic route altogether. With swathes of potential land at Ashton Farm to be transformed in the coming years, let me dream for just a second. Nothing, and certainly no stadium, will be started on until the A9 and A96 link road is built, something that is going to be key to the infrastructure of one of the UK's fastest growing cities. Schools, thousands of new homes, it's going to be a thriving area and almost certainly will raise the standards of the city. With that comes the opportunity for a sports complex, featuring a brand new purpose-built stadium that in conjunction with the Highland Council and UHI could see the perfect outcome for all three parties. UHI will get a pitch and training facility for its students, the council will have training astro that can be hired out to locals and amateur teams, bringing in good money, and the Caley Jags get a home that gives them a fighting chance to make memories and money. A tighter, more intimate ground, 4 sides, but generally smaller stands, allowing for more noise to be trapped. Create a proper atmosphere while being more manageable and cost effective when it comes to the lecky. Make the ground somewhere you don't just visit 2 Saturdays a month. Make it a community hub, somewhere mates can catch up over a pint, where young fans can have birthday parties. It may be a pipe dream, but it's possible. Now again, it won't be the ground that Dennis Wyness scored against Celtic, or the pitch that hosted a European fixture, but it could still be the home that we need. You know it in your heart to be true. There's chatter online that ICT should be looking to build a St Mirren-esque stadium, which would be quite ideal in my opinion. However, in my dreams I'd love something like the Stade de Luxembourg, but with slightly smaller capacity and a lot more dogfalls brewing on tap. However, St Mirren Park in 2008 was constructed at a cost of £8 million, already a massive outlay for a 7,000-ish seater stadium. Convert that into 2025 money following a worldwide pandemic and over a decade of damage to the UK economy by the British Conservative Party, you'd be likely to look at a bill of about £12,800,048,862.27. That is only calculated in line with inflation. An unimaginable expense for a club that only just managed to dodge the Reaper this season. Well, it's a nice thought to have that after all the mess the players, employees, fans have had to endure this season, that we could start afresh in a shiny new fit-purpose stadium, with Eddie Akitz and Scott Kelliker leading a group of local lads to the top.
For Frode.
It's absolutely the most likely scenario that we are still at the Caledonian Stadium for the foreseeable future, especially since there's a likely deal on the table for the potential renaming of the stadium to that of Savage's business, Orion Group, for a cool 6 figures alongside youth academy investment. While I agree it's necessary to explore the possibility of moving, it's just very doubtful. The most important thing from tomorrow onwards is to regain trust and support from the city itself. Significant damage was done over the years, to the point where many would have been happy to see the club fold. ICT's great escape from relegation this past weekend should be where the line is drawn and we move forward. As a fan base, players, staff, management, everyone in blue and red, think into the future with lessons learned from the past. At the end of the day, who cares what I think? What matters is you. What do you guys want? Can you imagine leaving the Caledonian Stadium? Do you want to move to one of the locations I've suggested, or anywhere I've not thought of? Drop in the comments what you think, and of course, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Lastly, we are staying up. Say we are staying up!